Hello, I'm Bernadette Janson, the founder and the CEO of the School of Renovating. Today, I have with me Marina Mandoukos. Marina is my key team member, and I've asked her in to discuss a project that she's currently involved on. So one of the rules of being employed at the School of Renovating is that your life is profoundly transformed through renovating. So Marina, do you want to tell us about your project?
Yeah, definitely. So it's actually my first project, and we bought Rennie Street, and it's in a joint venture structure. So there are a lot of firsts for me. This is my first renovation. It's first structural renovation that I've been a part of. First joint venture, first Airbnb property. So it's actually, I couldn't have come up with a bigger project to start with.
Awesome. I should back up a bit. Do you want to just quickly tell us about yourself?
Yeah, so I've basically been working at the School of Renovating. I started off as an intern and been with the school for 3 years. And I've actually had a love of property and renovating for years. And I landed my dream job. So I've been working as marketing, events, and the best part about it is I get to meet all of the students, get behind the scenes, and I'm always excited to start on, I've always been excited to start on a project, and last year was the year that I actually finally got involved. So big step for me, and it's proven very rewarding so far. And definitely not one that I would have stepped out on my own to take. So I feel very blessed.
Awesome. So just before we go on, we're actually going to talk about Airbnb and the part it plays in renovating. But before we go on, we probably should clarify the type of property that Rennie Street is.
Yes, so Rennie Street's a 2-bedroom terrace in Surrey Hills. Redfern, Surrey Hills. And it's a 100-year-old house, and it needs a lot of work. And we were looking at doing a structural renovation, and so while we're waiting for DA approval to come through, we've put it on Airbnb, which is something that I've wanted to explore for a long time now and have had the opportunity to do for about 12 months. So it's been really good.
Yes, the thing about renovating is whether it's a house or whether it's an apartment, it takes a bit of time to get your plan together.
Yeah, it has.
And Airbnb has been a bit of a game changer. Yeah, from that point of view, because it gives you some breathing space.
Heaps.
Yeah.
So I remember the day we settled, then it was, okay, we're settling on this date, jump on Facebook Marketplace, jump on Gumtree, have a look at what's available. Here are the checklists, set this up, get this done. And I think we got it up in about 5 days, put it on Airbnb, and we had a booking, I think, definitely within 24 hours. I think we actually got one in 10 minutes, but that's because the pricing was all wrong. But yeah, so it was fantastic. And basically it just went off from there. It was a busy time of year too, so we put it on in November. So that, obviously it's busy, everyone's coming to Sydney and traveling at that time of year. And it's given us the time to really look at what we want to do with the property and what the best way forward is, because there's been market changes. And, the thing is that I've learned is that you need to be fluid, and there's not just a plan A, because if you've only ever got a plan A and you come into any sort of change, you're in big trouble. So that's where I feel I have not been stressed one bit. And that's, I think, the value of having a joint venture team, and one that really works, because we bounce off each other. I try and do the project management side, which I enjoy, and then I leave the things that I need to practice to the joint venture partners, which they're really good at. And so it just seems to marry up really well.
Great. And so how has the actual management of the short-term rental listing gone?
Really well. There are some days I don't even know when guests are in or coming out. We've organised a great team. We set it up quickly. It took me about a month to let go of the fact that I didn't need to manage the property all myself, and that was thanks to you. So got some systems in place. organize my spreadsheets, organize the team, organize the cleaners, and it's been pretty easy, other than needing to attend to some bits and pieces at times. In the 12-month period, I probably had to attend to the property 5 times, and and then the basic things that come with Airbnb, like linen and cleaning. But we've got cleaners for that, and we've been really lucky in having a great team around that. And the cleaners have stuck out, still with us, and yeah.
And was it hard to find cleaners?
Initially, we had a few changes. So we had, one cleaning team come on. And the good thing about me doing the cleaning, I found, was that when the cleaners came in, it was really easy for me to tell them what they had to do. And I knew how long it would take to clean the property. But I let go of the fact that I needed to do the cleaning very quickly. And so they took over that. They've done everything that I've said. They've been fantastic. They send me photos. We use WhatsApp to communicate. And that's between me, the cleaner, our VA, and the rest of the joint venture team. So everyone always knows what's going on, and I don't have to repeat messages to anybody else. And even if the message doesn't relate to them, it doesn't matter. Everyone's across what's going on.
So some people who are listening to or watching this might not know what a VA is. Do you want to explain that?
I always forget that. So virtual assistant, which mind you, before I started working at the school, I didn't know what a VA was either. And so now in passing conversation, I'm like, oh yeah, the VA takes care of that. And they're like, what is a VA? So a virtual assistant, which they're very real. They're actually not virtual. They're just, across the waters, they're overseas, and we've got an amazing team in the Philippines that helps us in the Airbnb business and really managing it. And they do a great job. They're across the spreadsheets. They let me know every time somebody new is coming through, every time there's a changeover, a check-in, a check-out, or the communication. So if I've ever forgotten something, it's like my, a clone of me reminding me, hey, you need to get this done. So they're invaluable to the system, and they're trained up a certain way. They've got access to the checklists that we've created, and I did the Airbnb training that we've got, because as much as we talk about it, sitting down and actually doing it and putting it into practice are 2 different things. So that was fantastic, and using everything from there, I've been able to pull it off on my own. But I will say, without that support, and if I didn't have that education in the background and that support, it would have been a very different journey. It would have just been a longer, probably bit more windy road.
Yeah, I always think when you're starting out on something like that's quite foreign, it's a bit like groping around in the dark, isn't it? So yes, there's certainly value in leveraging off someone else's experience.
Yeah, definitely. And I found that the Facebook group, that's the Airbnb Facebook group that's attached to the training, is fantastic, because there are questions and things that come up on there all the time, challenges, and sometimes the answer is really simple, but you just need somebody looking in from the outside, and everyone is always so giving with their responses and so happy to help. And just to give back and share their own experiences, which has been great.
Actually, I wasn't really, it seems like a shameless plug, but I wasn't really prepared for you to be talking about the training. So I should explain. So the School of Renovating, because short-term rental features so prominently in our renovations and in our, production of cash flow, we actually produced a training because there were lots of people that needed help to get going with their listings. So we do have a training which is online and is great. Like it just, over the last few years, I've probably had 6 or 7 properties on short-term rentals. So I've been through the trenches. But the other great thing about it is the community, because not everyone has, no one person has all the answers.
No.
And so when you've got a community of hosts that are living and breathing it day in, day out, if you ask a question, someone is going to have the answer.
Always. Yeah. So it's definitely what's helped me, and I've always loved the Airbnb side. And from the minute it was introduced, I was, oh my gosh, I want to run an Airbnb. I want to know what it's like. And so, and then, I finally got to do
And
that.
now you do.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the most challenging thing? Because I know there'll be people watching that have been thinking about short-term rental. So I should differentiate. So Airbnb is one platform where you can host your short-term rental, but there are other platforms, but everyone seems to group all of them and call them Airbnb.
Yeah.
So
I honestly haven't had challenges as such. So it's been an easy run. It really has. Other than the guests come in, there's a lockbox, the cleaners are trained, the VA's trained, the property's close by. Yeah, for me, it's easy to run and it's easy to manage, and it doesn't interfere in, if this was something that I had that wasn't attached to a project and it was, say, an investment property of mine, or it was something I was renting to put out on short-term rental, I could work full-time. I could work the hours that I work and still manage this pretty effortlessly.
So this listing actually got up and running really quickly.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to?
So I think that when you're setting up your listing, the platform's really easy to use, but there are a lot of elements to it that you need to get right. So from your images to your pricing to your description to your manual. So the interface for Airbnb is very easy. And filling it out, some people just, throw up a couple of photos, don't pay much attention, don't put much into their listing. And I think the difference between our listing and everybody else's, because really that's your shop front window for the listing. And if you don't get that right, people aren't going to come. So, and especially when it's a brand new property and you've got no reviews on there and you're trying to get the reviews up, you really have to put great photos, explain where it is, put in all the details, create the manual and create the experience for when, the guest arrives. So, the listing's important, and having a clean property is really important. Everything comes down to the linen sheets, and the experience is based on, because, people are traveling, they just want somewhere clean to sleep, cozy place, and for it to be clean. So
Rennie Street is waiting for its renovation, so it's not overly flash.
Exactly.
Okay.
It isn't. But even so, with it, it's in a fantastic location, and we've got the bare essentials. So, and maybe a little bit more than the bare essentials, and it's really clean. It actually looks cleaner than when we bought it. And the amazing thing of having it on short-term rental is, as we've been deciding what we want to do with the property, it's given us space. So, we'll say we're going to start, a renovation in September. No, we've had to change plans. Okay, open up the listing again. We're going to renovate on this date. Okay, close the listing. So it's really flexible, and I don't know a lot of strategies where you can just open and close. It's like being able to open and close a business when it suits you, and that's huge. And so then we've obviously decided, once we have the property renovated, it will be a renovated property that will go back onto the short-term rental market, renovated, and with all the bells and whistles, and we'll be able to rent it out for even more over a really busy period, and have a great income coming in.
Yeah, so there's two reasons for doing that. The first one is because you don't want to be putting a property on the market just before Christmas.
Yes.
So, and what are the other reasons?
Don't want to put it, that's not a time when you want to sell. And I think that when we're selling the property and we're putting it back on the market, having Airbnb as a strategy that you can sell the property with, it just broadens the market. It doesn't necessarily mean an investor's going to buy it, but you don't know who comes along. And if you can open up the market to show that you've got figures that support, an investment property, and you can hand over a system, and it just makes it easier.
It's just another selling tool, isn't it?
Yeah, which is fantastic.
So everyone worries about the meth labs and the bikies. Have you had any guests from hell?
Look, I haven't had the pleasure of any of the guests from hell. We have had some guests that have, been messy and put a stain on a carpet and, not washed the dishes. But guests from hell, no. Aside from, maybe we had one guest that didn't want to check out on time because they believed that, they were supposed to be there. Other than that, and that got worked out really quickly. Airbnb is really supportive in terms of their support. And yeah, we got across that pretty quickly.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, is there anything you would say to someone who had a property and was thinking about listing it but was hesitant?
Yeah, I get this all the time because people see that I've got an Airbnb property and, I promote it on my own personal Instagram and, Facebook, and they're, oh, you do Airbnb and, what's it like? And, the big thing is the guests, and vacancies. And there are so many platforms now and so many ways you can be creative and so many ways you can add value to the property. I tell them that they're crazy not to. Some people just can't snap out of the mindset, and then some people start asking about the different laws. And there's one thing that I've learned from you, is that you make hay while the sun shines, which is exactly what we're doing. And there are plenty of platforms. And, if one strategy doesn't work, there's about another 4 that you could choose from. And, they're not all long-term rentals. So if it's easy to set up, it's cheap enough to set up, to give it a go, because if it's going to be worth it, it'll be worth your while. If not, it's just some styling furniture, worst case scenario, and you can start it off pretty cheap. And then if you find out that it works, upgrade the furniture, give it a go. There's nothing to lose. You can switch it off if it stops working for you. If you don't like how it works, you shut down the listing and you go back to long-term rental. Or, I just tell everyone, if you think you're in an area where you can have an Airbnb listing and you're happy to manage it or have somebody manage it for you, especially if you're not getting the rental return that you want, then give it a go, because there's not much to invest in terms to find out if it's worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Marina, I think we've explored the topic of Airbnb pretty well.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are watching, so you've heard it from the mouth of our resident rock star. And if you are interested in pursuing short-term rental, in particular Airbnb, feel free to come over onto our website and ask any questions you'd like. We'd love to hear them. Thank you.